What does breaking barriers mean to me? Well, there was a jazz clarinet player that broke a lot of barriers back in the 1920s, and he was also my music idol. His name was Benny Goodman. Benny Goodman was a tall, young Jewish clarinet player that played many types of music, and he wanted to have a jazz ensemble, his own group. So he went through the ranks, learning on how to do jazz type pieces, and he had this guy named Fletcher Henderson, an African American guy, that wrote some of the music, and Fletcher Henderson did not get a break. So Benny Goodman put him in his orchestra and actually started performing. Going with Benny Goodman again on Breaking the Barriers, he was the first one that actually integrated African American and white in jazz ensembles, in jazz orchestras. Back in the day, jazz orchestras in the 1910s, 1920s, they were a big hit because, of course, TVs weren't around yet. They were just starting to get technology, so radios were the big hit. And a lot of people in those days, in the 1910s and 1920s, they huddled around the radio and actually wanted to hear music. Well, it was either you listen, if it was jazz ensembles or anything, you listened to white ensembles or you listened to black ensembles. And Benny Goodman was the first one to actually integrate both of them together. I think it's important because it actually made music lots better, because instead of thinking about your skin and actually what you look like, it was your playing ability that mattered. And that was one thing I liked what Benny Goodman, Fletcher Henderson, and then later what Benny Goodman also did was he had a little quartet and he integrated a vibraphone player that was amazing on the vibes. His name was Lionel Hampton, and he is considered the greatest vibraphone player of our time.
What does breaking barriers mean to you?
Breaking barriers mean to me that you should never give up on what you want, and then the barriers you should always break so that you could achieve what you want.
Okay. What barriers have you broken?
I have broken the barriers of wanting a dog because I used to never. My mom said I could never get it because my sister didn't want one, but then I convinced my sister to want one, so now I got it.
Okay. What does breaking barriers mean to you?
I guess tearing down all of the things that stand between either people or organizations or institutions. That's what it means to me.
Okay. Could you give some examples of people that broke
Dr.
barriers?
Teresa Fry Brown broke barriers. She was on the staff of Candler Emory, and of course she began to work for tenure because they had never before had a black woman make tenure at Candler Emory, and she worked extremely hard, went through a lot of horrible things because many people didn't want her there. And it wasn't even a good maybe 60 years, 50 years later, after black people had only been there as servants or as janitors, that she actually was able to get tenure at Candler Emory.
Breaking barriers to me means overcoming an obstacle that affects you directly or indirectly. Well, as you can see on this poster, Martin Luther King Jr. broke the barrier between races of African Americans and whites.
Why do you think they were able to break barriers?
Perseverance, accomplishment, triumph, and honor. With those four key things, they overcame the barrier. And one day will achieve world peace.
It means when someone's strong enough to face something that nobody else can face. I want to break the barrier of immigration because my parents are illegal and I don't want them to deport them. And I love them. And that's why I don't want them. That's why I want to break that barrier.
Barriers mean to me like somebody who make a difference by changing the world because of something that formerly they could not do, and now they can do it. All right? And let me think of somebody who, oh, I know of a lady that maybe not a lot of people know about. Her name is Charlene Hunter Galt, and she was one of the first black women to go to the University of Georgia. Um, and I don't know how long ago that was, but she did break some barriers. Ooh, can I just talk about myself a little bit? Can I? Yeah. When I went to college, I was one of 25 students, 25 black students that went to an all-girls school that had about 1,200 girls, and I was one of 25, and so I was the very first person in my college to graduate from.
You don't even know him, so shut up.
Graduate from college. That's right. Oh yeah, graduate from college. And well, I didn't graduate from that school, but I just think that was a big step for me because I had never been away from my parents, away from my home, and the culture was very, very different. And so, even though you may not be a famous person, you can still break through barriers and you can do things that make a difference in your life.
What does breaking barriers mean to you?
To me, breaking barriers means to break challenges that you have in life.
What barriers have you broken?
I have broken the barrier of letting my sister go because when I was 9, my sister started to have boyfriends, and I didn't want her to go, but I just had to let her go because one day she was gonna go anyways.
What does breaking barriers mean to you?
It means something to my way when I'm trying to achieve my goals.
What barriers have you broken?
When I'm in class and my friends are trying to tell a joke, and like I crack up sometimes, and until one day I just stepped up my game up and then start paying attention to class to raise up my grades.
So what does breaking barriers mean to you? I think that breaking barriers means trying to do something but having something in your way, something stopping you. And that means finding a way to get beyond whatever that obstacle is to get whatever it is that you want to get done. And do I know anyone that has broken barriers? I would say right now my mom is trying to break barriers because she is trying to start a school, and there's a lot of obstacles in her way, a lot of people that are not sure the school's a good idea, but she's still working at it. She's trying to achieve her goal. And why do you think they were able to break barriers? Well, she's not 100% successful yet, but I think that she will continue to break these barriers because she's really dedicated to her goal, and she is very persistent, and I don't think she's going to give up until she gets done what she wants to get done.
What does breaking barriers mean to you?
Breaking barriers, oh my gosh. Well, it means overcoming obstacles in everyday life, you know.
Do you know anybody who's broken barriers?
Of course. Ruby Bridges, she overcame the obstacles like, racism in education, in schools. Because of her, a lot of people wouldn't be able to come to school.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think they were able to break barriers?
Because, perseverance and a lot of hard work. Without that, it would be, just people in everyday life.
Breaking barriers means overcoming something that's standing in your way. I think that the best part of being a teacher is when you see students break barriers by going to private high school or going on to college or overcoming some kind of academic struggle that they're having.
Hi, Path Academy.
What does breaking barriers mean to you?
Breaking barriers means you overcome obstacles and you triumph. The person in my life who has broken barriers is Miss Cox, because she made this school out of nothing, and now it's one of the best schools in DeKalb County. So she broke barriers. Presently, historically, Rosa Parks broke barriers because she helped fight against segregation on buses, which I think is pretty awesome too, because it takes a lot of bravery to do that. So
yeah, that was awesome.
Why do you think they were able to break barriers?
I think they were able to break barriers, like, because off of the four main principles our school is built on. Perseverance, accomplishment, triumph, and honor, because they all had these qualities. So I think that's good, and that's what helped them break these barriers and become the people that they are today.
To me, breaking barriers means overcoming an obstacle, overcoming a challenge, and being like the first one to do it. One example for Black History Month that I would say of a great leader who broke through some barriers is an educator named Septima Clark, and she was a civil rights leader who really focused on adult education and said in order for our country to have racial equality and justice, we need educational equality and justice, but not just for kids. What about for people who had already been left out because of the Jim Crow system, because of inequality? What about those adults who never learned to read or never learned about their rights as citizens because of the oppression they were facing during the times of segregation? And so she started schools and programs to help adults learn to read and learn about their rights, and was a major contributor to both the civil rights movement and the education rights movement in America. And I think something she had that enabled her to do this, to break through these barriers, were that she had a great upbringing by her parents, that she had support from her community, and that she had perseverance. She was not going to give up to the people who told her this was not the right way to achieve civil rights for America. She wasn't going to back down or surrender. She had what we call the courage of her convictions. She knew what she believed, and she was brave enough to fight for it.
What does breaking barriers mean to you?
It means going past your challenges and like facing them and then overcoming them.
Okay, what barriers have you broken or want to break?
Going to college.
Pushing through and changing something that is being stopped for whatever reason is being stopped. An example of breaking a barrier, I think of my friends a lot who are artists in one form or another, whether it's like art and painting or whether it's dancing, but they are changing the way a lot of dance has been done normally for like a very long time, and they're starting to break those rules a little bit. Sometimes they get told that it's not right and that's not the way that they should be doing it, and that it's not the right thing to be doing because it's not the perfect way that it should be done. But they're able to do it because they keep working at it, and as they keep working at it, they're perfecting that change that they're making, and then they're getting praised for it. So I think just continual work and believing in what you're doing, again, whether it's art, whether it's rules, whether it's whatever, just working hard and being very